Hi everybody, on my previous video I changed out the bubble level on my scope and I'm actually going to continue on now. As I have it taken off my bow, I'm going to check my axes and I'm going to show you the way I do it because I'm not sure if everybody does it the same, but this is the way I figured out that works the quickest and the best for me. So the things I use, first of all, you need your scope. I use a big sort of spirit level like this. This is going to be on the table here. And I use these things from Hamsky, which are actually used to level the arrows and the arrow rest and so on in the bow. I use that, usually goes in the back of the string. I'll show you later. And I've actually got this from my OMP arrow leveler. But you can use any bubble level you want. This is just, you'll see what it's for next. Okay, so this is how I do it. I've got a big spirit level here. This is what I put on the table. I'm making sure that my bubble level on this is straight. Then I've got a clamp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp my scope via its bar onto here. You don't really have to clamp it, it's just I find that makes life so much easier. Okay, so. Okay, that's clamped down now. Okay. So, I've got my thing clamped down. Now this is where I'm going to use my small little bubble level here. And I'm just going to set that on top of my slider here. And as you can see, bubble is level there, but it is not level on my slider. So that axis is off. So I'm going to have to adjust that. I've got my metric Allen key here. This is what I'm going to use to undo the screws on here, and I'm gonna level my axis. Okay, just gonna slightly loosen them. Not a lot, it's just so I can get a little bit of play in there so I can level my axis. Yeah, and then drop the thing. Yeah. I forgot what I normally do is I actually use a rubber band to secure that on. I just forgot that just now. For some reason, I seem to be incapable today of coordination. All right, so that's secured now. Now, I'm going to keep undoing bolts here. Okay, and I've got some movement in here. Pull that down so you can see. Now I can tilt the thing, and now I've got the bubble more or less centered. Now I'm going to tighten the screws again. You have to be super careful when you're tightening these screws again that you just don't knock your slider again. Okay, just double checking. All right, we are level. So that axis is fine. So now I've got my bar is obviously now level with my slider. That's the first one done. Right, the next axis I'm going to do is I'm going to level the axis, which is known as the third axis, which is the lean of the scope itself in comparison to this axis. This gets a little bit more complicated. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to use the axis that's inside my scope and actually this one here. So to do that, I'm actually going to, for now, I'm gonna put this on here with a rubber band. I have this little trick which I also use for putting this on the string of my bow to get it, make sure that's 100% level. I stick a rubber band through the middle here, and then as I put it on here, I just wrap the rubber band around itself. Okay, there you go. So like that's now attached to there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my clamp just to hold, oops, to hold that. Okay, make sure it's nice and tight. And this is where I want now this to be level, which it's not. So I'm going to start putting things underneath there to level it out. Got this little weight, put that weight underneath there, and that is, it's a little bit too much. I'm going to move that over there. It's not quite. I'm going to keep moving it around till I get it mostly the way I want it to. Need it to be a bit higher. All right, that's mostly in the middle now. I'm gonna have a look at the top of my scope here. That looks level. And I'm also gonna use this little guy here. This is very difficult with one hand. I'm gonna attach this guy. I'm gonna attach this guy to the top here, just to check, just to keep it level. But if I'm looking at it right at the moment, if you look at it, I'm too uncoordinated. So actually, if I'm looking at this, it's level. See, bubble is mostly level there and there. It's slightly off. It's not massively off. Don't know if you can zoom in here. Okay, just going to put this on top of that. Yeah, it's ever so slightly off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo these bolts and I'm going to try to get it perfect. Although, yeah, it just needs to come over just ever so slightly. Okay, so I need this side needs to come down. So. Okay. I'm gonna just undo that ever so slightly. Okay. Oh, that is way too far. All right. So just using the level here. Just trying to get that mostly level. Put a bit of tension on the screws. Just to get a bit there. It's in there. Just trying to get it mostly leveled. Okay, so I got it on there. That looks perfect now. My question is, can I keep it perfect after I tighten the bolts? Double check it now. Yeah, it looks perfect to me. I'm gonna keep tightening the bolts. Okay, fingers crossed. Oops. Fingers crossed, and yeah, that's level. All right, so now I'm level on that axis and on this axis. That now just leaves my second axis on the bow, which is actually the lean essentially of the scope itself. For that, I'm going to need to install it on my bow. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to level this bubble with the bubble in the scope here. Normally I would have this in my vise, but for the video here I'm going to do this by thumb. So I'm going to just push the bow a little bit so that sort of see that is centered. I'm going to look at my scope itself. I don't know if you can see that, but that is level. So my scope is level now, but my string level is not. Hold on, but it also does help if you pick up the bow and level everything. So that's level, so is the middle. So that's fine. So that's it. That's all my axes checked. My first axis was slightly off, so now that that's settled, the bow should shoot pretty awesomely, no matter how I set my scope.